Welcome to Texas Today. I'm Kristen Dickerson. Passover begins tonight at sundown. It is one of the most celebrated Jewish holidays in the world. Found in the Torah, Passover commemorates the story of the Israelites' exodus from slavery in Egypt. Here to teach us everything we need to know about the Festival of Freedom is Zvi Drizin. He's the founder of the Intown Chabad in Dallas. It is so good to see you again.
How are you?
I'm well. Last time we got to learn about the dreidel and just had a delightful time, so I'm so glad you're back.
Yeah, you were a master. Last time you spun the dreidel. Let's see you eat all these matzahs now.
Okay, will you share the story of Passover with us?
Hi. So the story of Passover, and as we like to call it traditionally Pesach.
Okay, that's Hebrew.
Takes us back to the very beginning of the Jewish people. They were not called a people then. They were just a small tribe, really a family, 70 people. They come down to Egypt, and over a period of time, they end up getting persecuted by the Pharaoh. And for about 200 years, they end up as slaves. They had been promised that this was going to happen, but one day God would take them out. Moses is born. Moses grows up actually in hiding as a prince, as an Egyptian prince. He ends up running away from his adopted father, which was the Pharaoh, because he had stuck up for the Jewish people who had been persecuted by him. He gets called by God to come and redeem the Jewish people. And that starts a fantastic process, the 10 plagues, until finally there was the final plague, and the Jewish people leave Egypt en masse, splitting of the Red Sea, and all those stories. And this moment is the seminal moment where we, the Jewish people, are created as a people. 7 weeks later, they receive the covenant, the law from God at Sinai, mass revelation to the Jewish people. And this is the moment that captures and the essential freedom that God tells us we live in, that we are not subject to any kind of people, to any rules other than God's rules. And this message is told to them to retell every single year. V'gadata levincha bayom hahu, and you will tell your children on that day. They will ask you questions, and you have to tell them. So education and education about freedom is germane to our tradition and at the base of everything. So this is not just on Passover, but that's kind of the focal point. So this is fundamentally a time to focus on the innate freedom that each one of us has.
Wow. Let's talk about the significant meal and the snack that you brought us.
Oh.
And its significance.
So at the Passover Seder, you have something called a Seder. Seder means an order. So there's this elaborate amount of all these different traditions that happen and commandments that happen on the first and second night of Passover. You do this 2 nights in a row in anywhere outside of Israel. In Israel, they actually only do it one night. Too complicated to explain why. But we have 2 Seders, and at the Seder, there's 15 steps in the Seder. And they involved all these different things, but the core things that we do on Pesach is there's an obligation to eat matzah. So matzah here, this is hand-baked matzah, the way it's supposed to be done, intentionally done for the mitzvah of eating this tonight. And we have 3 matzahs at the Seder. These represent 2 things. Both how we did not have time for the bread to rise because we were enslaved. You make a meal as quick as possible. You don't have the ability to, sit around and sip wine and enjoy. No. So really quickly, flour, water, no time to rise, because that's how bread is caused through the rising process. You put it in the fire, you take it out, you run, right? So it's, on the one hand, the bread of affliction. On the other hand, it's also the bread of freedom, because God told us to run out of Egypt in the middle of the night, and they did not have time for their bread to rise when they were going out free. So it's really interesting how this both symbolizes freedom and slavery.
Wow. Is there one other item on the Seder plate that I think we might have time to mention, or any other lesson you'd like to leave us
another
with?
thing which, people don't realize is you're obligated to drink 4 glasses of wine completely. Why? So you should feel the freedom.
Well, thank you so much for always educating us, and also in an entertaining way. Thank you for bringing joy to my heart.
It's my pleasure.
And honoring these stories in this life.
I wish you and every single person, Jewish or not, to really connect with this holiday of freedom, because fundamentally it is so important for us to believe that we are born naturally free, and nothing of our past enslaves us, and nothing of who we are or where we are. Every single person is a child of God and is fundamentally free.
Beautiful. How are you all celebrating? You have an event?
Well, we have at home, we have Seders, but at the Intown Chabad, we have a big public Seder tonight and tomorrow night, and it's wonderful. And all over, synagogues everywhere host Seders. So if you do not have a Seder, look us up, look your local Chabad up, your local synagogue up. Someone will be there to open up their doors for you.
Thank you so much. To learn more about the Intown Chabad or to view their upcoming events, go online to theintownChabad.com.